Stocks take a knock after continued global weakness hurts sentiment. All sectoral indices trade with cuts, IT and auto stocks leading the decline today.
Jio adds the most subscribers in July, adding 29.5 lakh customers, while Bharti adds 5 lakh. Even broadband subscriber adds are strong.
The Vedanta stock reverses some gains after it clarifies that its semiconductor foray will not be via its listed arm, unlike what Chairman Anil Agarwal perhaps inadvertently told CNBC-TV18 in an exclusive chat.
Optimism over their drug launch pipeline powers big pharma counters higher. Analysts stand bullish on Cipla and Dr. Reddy's.
Ashok Hinduja says that the group is eyeing NBFC and insurance targets in India, and the focus across business is on new technologies. Hello and welcome. You have tuned into Business Lunch on this Friday afternoon. I'm Nisha Podar, and with me, as always, is my co-anchor Pavitra Parekh. Let's begin with the markets, and looks like the market is really off steam today. In fact, there is a sell-off that is seen, and a lot owing to the global weakness. In fact, we showed a lot of resilience the time when Dow had fell a lot because of the US inflation report, but that didn't sustain for the rest of the week. In fact, we are seeing deep cuts today. As far as Nifty 50 is concerned, after going above 18,000 levels for 2 days in a row in this particular week, now it is settling in on 17,650 odd levels at the moment. More than 220 points of cuts on Nifty 50, 1.26% down, and Sensex is reached the 59,189 levels. When we talk about Bank Nifty, that is the space which has been far more resilient in terms of also taking the surge. The days the markets have been good and euphoric, and today it is outperforming the key indices as well with 0.5% cut, while the key indices are much more below in terms of the deeper cuts. Mid cap, that has also been resilient, but today it is underperforming the key indices, more than 1.5% down, and therefore there is broad-based sell-off that we are seeing because of the weakness seeping in. And advanced decline ratio, the market breadth, is also heavily on the negative side today on Friday. IndusInd Bank, Cipla, Sun Pharma, Kotak Mahindra Bank, these are the only counters holding up in the green when we talk about the heavyweights, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. So today is a down day, and you mentioned the global markets looking weak. So let's just pull up a few of those and you can see what's going on there as well. So the Nikkei markets are down over 300 points right now. You have Taiwan down 135 points. In fact, even the Dow futures have slipped 220 points. So that is the kind of global context that we are in. Nisha was mentioning IndusInd Bank. If you take a look at what's happened to that stock in the past 5 days, it's up on your screen, over 9% higher on IndusInd Bank. So that one is doing very well. In a weak market, some stocks holding up from the travel and hotel space. So Easy Trip is doing well. You have EIH, Royal Orchid. These are some stocks which are clocking in good gains. On the downside, it is IT once again, which is just sort of, playing drag on the market. For the week, it's down almost 6% right now. This is the kind of move that you've seen on a lot of the heavyweights. So definitely keep that in, on your radar. And for this entire week, Reliance has actually been a little bit of a drag on the market. So that will also come up for you. But, ahead of that big FOMC meet next week, I guess some consolidation is expected, right? So we are sort of all waiting for that, and that will be the next trigger for the market. But that's the market action. We're going to come back to this soon. But let's actually bring you an important story now. After a strong rally following news of a semiconductor manufacturing JV with Foxconn, Vedanta has corrected after it clarifies that the semiconductor manufacturing business will not fall under the listed entity. Vivek is here to fill us in on more.
Well, that's right. Quite a bit of a flip-flop as far as Vedanta is concerned, both in terms of the announcements, what exactly is the management speak, and in fact the share price has seen quite a bit of volatility in the last couple of trading sessions. So earlier in February, the company had informed the exchanges that all of the semiconductor manufacturing business that was housed under a JV with Foxconn would actually not be under the listed Vedanta arm, rather it would be under the parent company Vulcan Investments. However, in an interview to us a couple of days earlier, the management actually told us that this particular business would be housed under the listed entity, which actually led to a significant surge as far as the share price was concerned. Yesterday, once again, to the exchanges, the management has informed and the company has informed, saying that this particular business would not be housed under the listed entity, rather it would be under the eventual holding company of Vedanta, that is Vulcan Investments. This particular flip-flop and also worries whether Vedanta might end up as a financing vehicle for this particular JV has led to significant concerns, and which is why we are seeing such a sharp reaction on the stock today.
All right. Thanks so much, Vivek, for putting all that into perspective. And you said it right. Flip-flop on the part of the management of Vedanta Group in clarifying on where the semiconductor foray really lies in its overall scheme of things. And that's the clarity that the market has really taken cognizance of. So keep an eye out on that particular counter. Another pocket of the market that we are closely watching out today is the telecom space. And the telecom stocks are in focus on the back of the July TRAI data. Remember, two important highlights from there. Jio is seeing massive subscription gains in the last month, and Vodafone Idea continues to lose subscribers. Rima Tundulkar is right here to take us through the numbers and also its impact on the sector. Rima.
Thanks so much for that. So what we've learned from sources is that Vodafone Idea has decided against converting the interest on their AGR dues for FY18 and FY19 into equity, which will be held by the government. So just to take you back and tell you the background of this. Now, Vodafone Idea was facing humongous AGR dues. This was the principal component and the interest component, and this spanned many years. Now, while the principal component, the company still has to decide on the interest component, Vodafone Idea had said that we would like to convert the interest on our AGR dues up to a period of FY17 into equity, which will be held by the government. This was already decided. What we are talking about now is for the next period, FY18 as well as FY19, and Vodafone Idea had time till today to decide whether they want to convert that interest into equity. Now, it comes at a surprising time because, as I said, the company had already said that they want to convert their interest into interest on AGR dues up to FY17 into equity. The government had agreed. The price was decided at 11 rupees 80 paise, but this has been pending since January of 2022. It's been close to 8 months. So the question is, why is the government delaying this equity conversion? Is it because they're worried about Vodafone Idea's financials? Because even after the government has announced the financial relief package, Vodafone Idea is still struggling and making losses of nearly 14,000 crore rupees. The latest TRAI data shows that even in the month of July, Vodafone Idea continues to lose subscribers. Is it that the government is worried about Vodafone Idea's fortune's future? Because it will be held. Holding a very large equity. As things currently stand today, the government will be the single largest equity shareholder in Vodafone Idea. And the second question is, what happens to Vodafone Idea? Because their debt is close to about 2 lakh crore rupees as of June, and post that, the company participated in a 19,000 crore 5G a spectrum auction. So they've got those dues also to pay up, though the terms are very sweet, but it's still debt on the company's books. And they have an external fundraise of 10,000 crore rupees, which is contingent on clarity on whether the government is going to be converting this interest into equity. So it's all linked together, and it's very, very important for Vodafone Idea.
Rima, thanks a lot for bringing us all of those details. But those are the visuals coming through from Uzbekistan, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the SCO summit. He's speaking right now, so let's go across.
भारत में 70,000 से अधिक स्टार्टअप्स हैं, जिनमें से 100 से अधिक यूनिकॉर्न है. हमारे ये अनुभव कई अन्य SCO सदस्यों के भी काम आ सकता है. इसी उद्देश्य से हम एक नए स्पेशल वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन स्टार्टअप्स एंड इनोवेशन की स्थापना करके SCO के सदस्य देशों के साथ अपना अनुभव साझा करने के लिए तैयार है. एक्सेलेंसी, विश्व आज एक और बड़ी चुनौती का सामना कर रहा है, और यह है हमारे नागरिकों की खाद्य सुरक्षा सुनिश्चित करना। इस समस्या का एक संभावित समाधान है मिलेट्स की खेती और उपभोग को बढ़ावा देना। मिलेट्स एक ऐसा सुपरफूड है जो न सिर्फ एससीओ देशों में बल्कि विश्व के कई भागों में हजारों सालों से उगाया जा रहा है और खाद्य संकट से निपटने के लिए एक पारंपरिक, पोषक और कम लागत वाला विकल्प है। वर्ष 2023 को यूएन इंटरनेशनल ईयर ऑफ मिलेट्स के रूप में मनाया जाएगा। हमें एससीओ के अंतर्गत एक मिलेट फूड फेस्टिवल के आयोजन पर विचार करना चाहिए। भारत आज विश्व के मेडिकल एंड वेलनेस टूरिज्म के लिए सबसे किफायती डेस्टिनेशन में से एक है। अप्रैल 2022 में गुजरात में WHO ग्लोबल सेंटर फॉर ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन का उद्घाटन किया गया। पारंपरिक चिकित्सा के लिए यह WHO का पहला और एकमात्र ग्लोबल सेंटर होगा। हमें एससीओ देशों के बीच ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन पर सहयोग बढ़ाना चाहिए। इसके लिए भारत एक नए एससीओ वर्किंग ग्रुप ऑन ट्रेडिशनल मेडिसिन पर पहल लेगा। अपनी बात समाप्त करने से पहले मैं प्रेसिडेंट मिर्जी को आज की बैठक के उत्कृष्ट संचालन और उनके गर्मजोशी से भरे आतिथ्य के लिए फिर से धन्यवाद अदा करता हूं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
All right, that was Prime Minister Modi at the SCO summit, and he is also likely to hold talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin as well as Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. So we are waiting by for all of those comments, and we'll of course keep bringing you those as the days go by as well. But with that, we're going to get into a short break now. On the other side, we bring you an exclusive conversation with CNBC, where Ashok Hinduja says that the group is looking at bidding for insurance and NBFC targets. Excerpts from that conversation when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still watching Business Lunch, and there's been a sharp drop that's coming through in the market. So if you can just pull up the key index, you can see that in the past 10 minutes, we've lost around 60 points. There you have it on your screen. So currently, it's a 270-point cut that we are seeing on the Nifty, 1.5% lower. The mid-cap index is also seeing losses widen, so 2.2% lower on the mid-cap index. And in the past few minutes, this pain is really coming through on some of the big auto names. So take a look at M&M. You have Hero Motors, Tata Motors as well, which is which have all moved sharply lower in the past few minutes. Of course, Reliance is a big drag today as well. It is around 2.3% lower.
Amongst the heavyweights, Pavitra, if you really look at it, the financials, the bank Nifty counters are the ones which have been leading the charge, and even other financials. So HDFC Limited, which is not part of Bank Nifty, but is a big heavyweight. So take a look at those two counters. HDFC Twins, in terms of its movement, has really slumped in trade in the last few minutes of trade, and that's why it has given a big knock to the overall market as well. So keep an eye out. 0.9% down on Bank Nifty at the moment, and Reliance Industries being over 2% down is also a huge amount of damage really coming in for the markets, and definitely bigger weakness seen in mid-cap universe, 2.24%. So immense sell-off seen in the mid-cap and the broader market that we are seeing, Pavitra.
Oh, absolutely. And that's that you have on your screen right now as well. So it is the mid-cap index which is currently seeing the biggest cut. It's down over 2.2%. We're going to come back to the market action in just a bit. That remains, on top of mind. But here's some interesting opinion. With the insurance regulator IRDAI planning to dematerialize insurance policies, we spoke to Anuj Kumar, Managing Director and CEO at CAMS, to understand the impact of this in depositories. And he believes that this move will, of course, be uniformly positive for such companies. Listen in.
And like you've seen in other parts of capital markets, banks, etc., I think the repositories will emerge as very strong for both reasons. One, of course, there is a large mass of, upwards of 25 crore policies which will come up for dematerialization in the market. On the general insurance side, there is a large mass which will come up for fresh issuance, again on the demat side. And then all these several tens of crores of insured population of the country will start interacting with insurance companies more on the digital and electronic form, which is a long-term change. And like I said, it has been a long-standing bastion, but the last bastion, which will now slowly go away.
All right, let's take it straight to some capital market action then. It's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Some news coming in from the primary market. Well, sources suggest that Mankind Pharma is looking at a Dalal Street debut and will soon be filing its DRHP for an IPO. Vivek Iyer is here with all the details. Vivek, tell us.
Well, that's right. Mankind Pharma, one of India's largest pharmaceutical companies, especially in the protection space. Now, after quite some time, you're expecting to see such a large deal in the pharmaceutical space. And when you're talking about Mankind Pharma, the entire issue, what we're hearing, is likely to be an OFS, an offer for sale. The company has filed for the DRHP, is what we understand. And in fact, some of the earlier reports had suggested, that the IPO could be as high as 1 billion. We understand that this particular IPO at this point of time might be pared down slightly in terms of how much they are looking to raise. But what we understand is that 10% dilution is what you're expecting as far as the pre-IPO shareholding is concerned. The promoter entities are expected to sell close to 2.5% stake. And interestingly, existing institutional investors are looking to pair almost 7.5% stake. We understand that the entire purpose of the IPO was to provide an exit to the institutional investors. So who are the exiting investors? We're talking about Capital Group, two entities there, and we're also talking about Chris Capital that is looking to partially exit their stake as far as this particular IPO is concerned. Some of the key brands for the company include Manforce as well as Prega News, and it's going to be an interesting IPO in terms of how exactly the retail participation pans out.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll wait by to see how that goes. Vivek, thanks a lot for bringing us all of the details. But with that, let's shift focus to some important corporate commentary coming through from Chairman of the Hinduja Group, Ashok Hinduja. In an exclusive chat with CNBC's Tanveer Gill, he says that they're eyeing NBFC and insurance targets in India, and the focus across businesses is on new technologies. Listen in.
We are in 11 sectors of businesses. Our focus is more on auto, which is our flagship company here. Ashok Leyland. Our focus is more on banking and financial services. So we are now bidding for other NBFCs, insurance companies. So we are focusing more investment targets here. Right. And future is digital, future is new EVs. We are already in electrical vehicles. It's being, since last 1 year, they are in Ahmedabad, they are in Chandigarh, they are in Bangalore. So they are all growing. Right. And not only that, even in the banking sector, financial services sector, the new technologies will come in, the fintech will take over. So we are all going into that. We are going into cybersecurity. We are already in the cybersecurity. We are already into the high-tech technologies on the Hinduja Tech. So we are all now moving towards new technologies.
All right, on that note, a quick break on Business Lunch. Come back for more news and market action. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and take a look at the market. And yes, there is a cascading impact that we are seeing in the overall market sell-off. And Bank Nifty, that is on the line of 1% downtick. Mid-caps almost 2.5% down. As far as Nifty 50 is concerned, that is inching towards a 300-point cut, 1.6% down. At the moment, the financials have really taken a lead. But one counter that comes on my radar is Adani Enterprises. Look at the kind of slump that particular counter has seen in the last few minutes of trade, along with HDFC Twins. Let's take it straight to global market cues then, which are really impacting our markets as well. All eyes would be on the Fed next week as it prepares to undertake yet another rate hike to fight inflation. CNBC's Jeff Cutmore has more.
Well, we had a slew of economic data that has painted a rather mixed picture on the U.S. economy in the run-up to next week's Fed meeting. Retail sales rising 0.3%, which was a decent number It would have been a negative if a 3% rise in auto sales was excluded, however. Jobless claims fell for the fifth straight week, coming in at 213,000, which was lower than forecast. But industrial production fell 0.2% on the month, against expectations for a flat print. So a trifecta of really interesting numbers for the markets to have to work with. But if you want to know where the pain is expressing itself, it is, of course, in the repricing of the money that you need to borrow to get on with your life, whether that is to go out and buy a car, whether that is just day-to-day living expenses, or indeed whether that is to go out and buy shelter, as the Americans call it. Meanwhile, as we say, the average rate on the 30-year mortgage then, and you can follow the chart here, topping 6% this week, according to Freddie Mac, the housing agency. It's the first time since 2008 and comes amid the Fed's attempt to clamp down on spiking inflation. And it's not just out at the 30-year that we are starting to take out big numbers. Big move down at the 2-year as well that took us through 3.48%. Another reason why conditions are tightening in the United States.
Jeff, thanks a lot for bringing us all of that economic data. It is the Fed meet next week, which is closely watched. So 20th to 21st of September is when that is scheduled. But with that, we're completely out of time on Business Lunch. The markets at the low point of the day. It is a 280-point cut that we are seeing on the Nifty. And the Nifty Bank is down 350 points. So stay tuned. Midcap Radar comes up next, and they'll be taking all of this action forward.